it's way past time.
How expensive do I have to be?
Need I spell it out before you get it, baby?
Show me your soul.
And honey, I'll show you mine. I'll show you mine. Boy, I'm standing right here holding up a sign, shamelessly displaying my state of mind. But you walk right past me, pretending like you don't see what's yours for the taking tonight. Ooh,
show me your soul.
Baby, I'll show you mine.
Show me your soul.
Can't you see it's way past time?
How expensive do I have to be?
I mean, I spell it out before you get it, baby.
Show me your soul.
And honey, I'll show you mine.
Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing today? Happy Tuesday. Grand rising to all of you out there. Welcome to today's installment of Bathrobe Moments, and I'm your host, Lauren Michaels Harris. Help me welcome to the show right from the get-go my sidekick, my best gal, Miss Lucy McGillicuddy Ricardo. Drinking on some roasted chestnut coffee this morning. So here we are on the 23rd day of the month. This is a short month, just 28 days. And we'll be moving into what is the third month of the year, which means the last quarter of Q1. So I'm just interested, how you doing as far as your goals so far, your intentions that you set way back, maybe even before the turn of the year, but what are your goals and how are you doing? Are you on point? We're going to talk about a lot of things today. Today is a special day here on Bathrobe Moments. It is Freestyle Tuesday. Remember back in the day, a couple years ago, we used to have Turnstile Thursday. Same sort of thing, except I have two guests that, lights, love, and prayer to my nameless guest who could not be here today because he was diagnosed with COVID. So he is quarantining and not able to do the show. So I put a thing out yesterday, and James A. Feltz and Marty Martinez, you've seen them here separately before. You may have seen our special we had back on Veterans Day. They were part of that panel, but they're both here today. They're good friends. They're both, whenever you see the flag up in the right-hand corner, it means that our guests are or is, depending on how many, today there's two, veterans. And we love to support our veteran community and all that they do to sacrifice and serve on our behalf to keep our country the best it can be. So we're happy for them to be here. Let me see. I don't really have that much to talk about. It's a beautiful day here in Chicago. The sun is shining. The ice is melting. It scared the crap out of us last night. So much so that my husband, Brian, locked all the doors that never get locked, like to the garage and to the bedroom, right? Because a big icicle fell off after I went to bed, and the cats and he went running and huddling in the family room together under a blanket. So apparently he thought it was an intruder. But why didn't you wait? You're just going to leave me to get killed? So anyway, I went and cleaned up all of the broken shards of ice this morning, and it was quite a laugh to us. But anyway, that was about as exciting as it got for me yesterday. It was a great day. It's a great start to a wonderful week, and we are fulfilling the promise right now. In the moment where two or more of us come together, something great will indeed happen. And I know that's the case today. So I usually do the bio and whatnot at this point for the guests, but I'm going to let them come in and just chat it up. If you have any ideas or comments or thoughts, or you want to talk about something today, feel free. It is Freestyle Tuesday, which means the conversation goes where it is intended to go. And so let's get started. Help me welcome to the stage in bathrobe fashion. Put your hearts on the screen, put your heart into it, and put some light, love, and support behind these two gentlemen. Here they come, James A. Feltz and Marty Martinez. Well, good morning. Too funny. I wish
Why
I
are you laughing at me already, Marty? It's
because
just
I
started.
wish see no, he is. He's looking right at you. I wish I could have recorded you two, you guys. I had them on the screen this morning. They were in the green room, and I just popped them both up there, and it was nice. It was like being Ellen, watching the people take the bait inside the green room, and you two are quite the pair. Let's start by just introducing ourselves to everyone out there. Let them know where you're at in the world, what you do, James, and give us a little bit about your military background, if you could do that for us.
Well, first off, thanks again for it's an honor anytime that you ask us to be on your show. Thank you so much. Honored
Of
to be
course.
here. Myself recently retired from the reserves last year, January 1st, 2020. Did some time on active duty with MARTY, where he was my boss. We'll talk about that later in the discussion. He didn't catch that, did he? But actually, it was role reversal. I was actually his boss. But anyway, that's another story.
You were?
Oh, absolutely. We'll talk about that. That's why I agreed to be on the show with Marty
now
today.
it's starting to make sense.
I got to make sure. But started out on active duty. Got out in 2003. Decided I wanted to be a state trooper, so I was a North Carolina state trooper for a little bit. Missing the military and my brothers and sisters, I went back in, joined the National Guard. So I was in the National Guard for several years, transitioned to reserves, and then ultimately finished my career with the uniform on in the reserves. But I had a short stint as well as a GS-11 as a logistician. So I basically done everything. I've been
What a station?
A logistician. So I did logistics.
Oh, okay. I thought that had something to do with toes.
It could be, depending on who you ask, but absolutely, it's a lot of counting. That's for sure, a lot of counting.
Yeah. Okay. Better you than I.
But that's my military career, and my whole life I've been around the military, and then now I have a couple different businesses, and where Marty and I are actually starting out one here in the next couple weeks. We're launching one, so I'm really excited to get to talk about that as well.
Okay.
I'll defer the floor to the Honorable Marty Martinez.
Oh.
I know. Could you hear the eye roll, Lauren?
I felt it. I was trying to hold mine back, but go ahead, Honorable Judge Marty Martinez.
Well, first off, Lauren, thanks for having us on the show. I appreciate it. It's always an honor to be here, and anytime I get to hang out with you is great.
You're sweet.
I do apologize in advance. I have a hard stop after we agreed to be on here of 9:30 today. I got to scoot to another meeting, so I will have to leave a little early. But my background is I started off way back in 1992 in the Army, enlisted at 1st Ranger Battalion, served enlisted, got out, did the Texas National Guard with the 143rd Long Range Surveillance Detachment, then commissioned as an infantry officer. So up to then I was always infantry enlisted. Then I became an infantry officer where I met James Feltz, and he was like the worst boss for the 6 days that he was my boss. From there, I just served out the remainder of the 20 years as an officer. So I retired in November after 28 years of service.
Well, thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for your service. And good morning to all of you out there watching. Sherry McQueen, Michelle, and all of the rest of you. Robert, of course, top fan. How's everything going for all of you? And all of you on the other platforms, I see you're watching. I just can't see your comments. So just always know that if you want to be interactive, then whatever platform you're watching from now is perfectly fine. But if you want your comments to be read or someone to speak to those comments or questions, just head over to the Bathrobe Moments Facebook page. It's a show page. Just say at Bathrobe Moments TV show, and you'll be able to interact with all of us here. So we're just glad you're here. So Marty, where are you? Tell us a little bit about your family. Now I know both of you have little ones, right? And I know, James, you said that your 16-year-old started driving this past weekend. So I enjoyed that dark, full head of hair you have, because
thank goodness for there's gray in here after this Saturday.
Yeah.
So yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, I thought.
Exciting.
Yeah, it is, and pretty soon you will have transitioned from daddy-daughter dances to wedding reception dances, and
woo!
I know you too, Marty, while you're playing. So time moves fast, doesn't it? So, with time moving so quickly, now, Marty, when you retired not so long ago, I remember I saw the post on Facebook, your last day at work and whatnot, but then you went right into another job. My mom did that. She was only retired for 3 weeks, and she went back and got a part-time job at the Catholic church in her town and stayed there for another 17 years.
Yeah.
I was like, man, she just couldn't get out. She said she missed getting up in the routine of having something to do, someplace to go. How was it for you, and why did you decide to go out and pick up another job?
Yeah, so I took the weekend off.
What about it?
Yeah, so I retired. Well, yeah, started terminal leave on Friday and started the new job on Monday. And it was mainly just because I know that if my mind isn't gainfully employed, then I get bored, I get lazy, and I don't like that version of myself. So I've got to keep moving. It's part of my it's part of how I deal with ADHD, anxiety, everything is to know your weaknesses and address it full on. And mine is, if I don't have something to do, I lose my mind. I just get bored.
I'm that way. And I have ADHD as well. So I get it. I get it. So do you feel like you'll spend another 20 years with this company?
Probably not, just because I see James and I taking on some new business opportunities, and I foresee James and I for the next 20 years working and making our businesses.
Okay, that's a great answer. Well, listen, I asked each of us to bring some topic, and since you have a short stay with us today, why don't we start with your topic, Marty, since you have to bounce at the bottom of the hour. What is it that you want to get in there and chop it up about today?
Yeah, so you mentioned the power of intention and how's your New Year's going? And this is that point in the year, about 67 days in, where people stop or quit on their New Year's resolutions. And if you're Catholic, we sometimes pick some of that back up and give it up for Lent. But what I've started this year is I wake up every morning with Glenn Lundy, Rise and Grind. And if you haven't done that, he's out of Chicago, and he does his show at 5:30 in the morning, and it's powerful. And the thing I've taken from him is he's got his morning 5, and it's never hit the snooze button. Nothing ever comes out hitting the snooze button. I know.
I hit it today,
but never hit the snooze button. And you start off by don't touch your phone. You don't need to touch your phone.
No.
And you think about your daily gratitudes and goals, and then write them down. And the reason you write them down is because there's something, and you and I have talked about this, Lauren, about if it's in your mind, actually going through and putting pen to paper solidifies it, makes it real, and it's something you can see.
That's right. That's absolutely right. My adopted mom used to tell me all the time when I was just a little guy, write everything down, Larry. That was my name back then. Write everything down, because when you do that, you automatically separate yourself from the dummies. And that was all I need to hear, because I did not want to be a dummy. And what she meant was true. What she was, the premise of that is absolutely true. Because I often, especially with ADHD, so many things, it's like a meteor storm going on in my mind. So, and that's hence you got some of about the wall of purpose over there. And I'm telling you, writing things down and setting intentions is a very important part of my life, because if I don't, I'll forget, or it'll slip through the cracks. It'll end up in one of the junk drawers of my life. And, I tell people all the time, those Post-it notes and those intentions, everything in my world that is tangible, things here and that I look around and am grateful for every day in my immediate life, are all things that started on a Post-it note. So it is a true thing. So yeah, that's a big one.
So I take it a little different too, in that, so I write it down, and I've got Post-it notes, different colors all over my desk. And I talked to James about this, is as I'm writing down my gratitudes. So I wake up thinking about the daily gratitude. I'm already in a positive mindset. My power of intention is I'm grateful that I've woken up. The Lord has blessed me with another day, and we can move further. And then write down those goals. And so writing down those daily goals that I need to achieve, and I put them on my laptop on the left side of the screen. And then those are all the things I need to do. And as I'm working on them, they go on the top side. And then when I'm done with them, they come over here on the right side. So now it's tactile feedback. I'm seeing my day progress. And also, once everything's over here that I could get accomplished, I know I'm done for the day. And that helps me achieve my work-life balance and increase my quality of life. So, you've defined done early, and now you've set your goals and you can mark down. And then you can move on and spend time with your family, with your dog, with your cat, whatever it is. But you can unplug and not feel guilty as you're sitting on the couch, watching American Idol or whatever.
Right.
And
James, how do you feel about the setting of intentions, and what if you believe in them or you prescribe to them? What do you do to get that ball rolling?
Well, for me, it's pretty simple. I have accountability coaches. For me, I can say on a daily basis, I reach out to you, Lauren. I reach out to Marty. I reach out to those folks that keep me on track. Because to be transparent, I have bad days, and a lot of people, we don't talk about those days, but I do have those bad days. But like Marty said, I write everything down on Post-it notes. I basically, for myself, because of a book that you advised me to read, I also read read this every day, the 4 Agreements. It's just, it's what I was finding out was the power of the spoken word, and what I was actually telling myself in the morning was having an effect on me. So the first thing I do when I wake up, I go to the mirror and I look at myself and I say, "You're going to have a great day and you're beautiful." I know that sounds crazy, but that's
I'm sure I can hear you saying it.
And I have to do that because there was a time that I was, struggling. And like I said, it's a daily grind for myself. Marty hit some key points, and, it's just about keep moving. And for, about 2 years solid, 2 years straight, I stopped moving. And I stayed at home, had zero intentions, good intentions. Basically, my intentions were Netflix and watching that, and then playing a PlayStation 4 at the time. That's what was out. I guess I have a PS5 out now, but I have zero intentions on getting another PlayStation because I found out that I was wasting my life away on television and video games. So that's why, it's important to have accountability coaches to keep you on track.
I agree. And one of the things I find with myself, as far as being successful in following through with the setting of, because, back to what Marty said about how Mr. Lundy said, don't hit the snooze button. And that's true, because I am immediately, even in a subconscious state of mind, undoing my own doing of setting that alarm for that time every time I hit the snooze button. I've already started the trajectory of changing my mind from what I originally said would be before my feet even hit the floor. So that is a great one. And I'm going to, I think what I'm going to do now, since you said that, Marty, and thank you for sharing. And see, that's the thing. There's the promise fulfilled right there, folks, that where 2 or more come together, something wonderful will happen. I immediately, when Marty said that, I was like, well, shit. Oops. I'm setting an intention not to cuss today. Too late. So anyway, I'm going to start that one tomorrow. So it's like I'm already thinking, well, what can I do? Because I hit the snooze button once today. I hit it no times yesterday, but Friday I hit that joke 3 times. And then I was running around trying like a chicken with no head, which set the course of my day in a chaotic sense. So I get it. So I'm gonna set an intention right now that I'm gonna set my alarm, but I'm going to keep the phone in my bathroom, that way it doesn't wake Brian up. But I'll put it in my bathroom, and then I'll have to get up and go in there and turn it off, and then I'm up. Just like that. Right. Because once I'm up, I'm not one to go back to bed.
Well, and here's another thing, too, about hitting that snooze button is if you think about the mindset that you're in, you're not going to make the best decisions at whatever time you wake up. I wake up at 4 a.m. I'm not going to make the best decisions. I'll start rationalizing things. I don't need to shave today. Click. I'll hit that thing and I'll hit it again.
Oh yeah.
But when you set that,
I showered last Tuesday. What the hell? Today ain't nothing but Saturday. Right.
That's not too small.
I got 3 more days.
You're sabotaging yourself. You set that on purpose. So I'll be honest. Today I hit the snooze button because my baby wasn't sleeping, and he finally got to bed at 3. I was supposed to get up at 4, and I was supposed to do my 75-minute bike on the Peloton. So now I was like, okay, I'm not going to do it. But now I'm scrambling to figure out how am I going to get in a 75-minute bike on a 1-hour swim, in addition to everything else going on with all those tasks I talked about. And then one of those tasks that I put on my screen is, bike, swim, stretch, and meditate. So I put this as a task for myself, because work-life balance is also about yourself, taking care of your mind, body, and spirit.
That's right.
And so you have to schedule in time for you. And because I hit the snooze button, I've increased my stress level, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to get that done? And that's number 4 on Glenn Lundy's Morning 5. Take care of physical exercise. Take care of yourself. And one of the things that you can do, even if you're in, we all have different ailments, whatever, but just keep moving. If you can walk, but just get that heart rate up a little bit. And that's the best time, studies have shown, to listen to your favorite podcast, listen to your Audible book, because your mind is prepped to retain that knowledge. That's when you want to learn a new language. I used to do the same thing even when driving in traffic, because I've listened to music over and over instead of listening to a podcast and trying to engage my mind. Well, like I've told James, stop that, because Hotel California is still going to be Hotel California. It's a bad Yelp review with a guitar solo. If you stop listening to Hotel California music and start listening to something like one of your shows, you're going to get yourself to another level. And then the last thing of the Power 5 is send out an encouraging message. Encourage others. Yep. Promote others. Stop self-promoting, and then you'll be surprised that people start promoting you. But that's what I did yesterday. My friend, he's got a book out, Alan Lester. He fellow Ranger buddy, and he's writing books, American horror books. And so I sent out a thing about his free book that he's doing. And so
I actually can't watch scary movies, so I won't be able to read the book. I have to read the clip.
Oh my God, we watched Carrie this weekend. It was good.
Can't do it.
Creepy Carrie.
Scariest movie I ever seen was Ghostbusters, and it scared me.
Oh my goodness.
But
okay, that's a whole nother show. I want to jump in and say something about, because I did the same thing just like you, Marty, about this morning. I had this, and I still have to accomplish some of it. I'm supposed to hike 20 miles, roast 3 turkeys, and paint the house. And that's just before coming on the air to do this show.
Impressive.
No, I'm kidding, of course. But I did that for a reason. Sometimes we, and I include myself when I say we, I won't acknowledge my own human limits. My husband is that way. If he's got notes, some weekends he refuses to take a weekend at all, because I have 180 patient files to do notes in, and he will sit up there, and I'll have to bring food up and everything. He will not come out of that office until he has completed every single one of them. And so we had to sit down and figure out an action plan, which has worked 3 weeks in a row, where, because his patients, he goes for 45 minutes. And I mean, he's done. Not 45 minutes and 1 second. He's done. So I said, why don't you take a portion of that 15-minute break every hour and see which ones you can get the notes done on, and then carry to the weekend the ones that, because they want to get it fresh usually. But anyway, he's had 2 weekends to himself in a row. And he did not even know it was possible until he set the intentions. So the intention setting is almost like a blueprint, wouldn't you say? But don't you think if you're going to have a blueprint to build something, you have to make sure you have all of the things you need to build with? So let's talk about that, because I noticed, and this is another thing, not to point to you, but you happen to have one behind you, a whiteboard just filled with things. And I have some coaching clients who they sit in that spot every week, and I notice, and I'll take screenshots without them knowing it on the computer. And 6 weeks later, from that day, I'll pull up that screenshot and say, so how's it going with your goal setting? And they go, oh, great. So how many things have you accomplished? Oh, a bunch. then why haven't you taken them off your whiteboard? And then it's like, oh, I forgot that thing was here, which is what a lot of us do.
You can't see it.
Well, you know, a lot of us do that. We'll put, I had a whiteboard, I took it down because I had stuff on there that had been there for 9 months and it became just like, it was invisible to me. So let's talk about that. It's setting the intention is one thing, but actually sticking with it. So what do you do? A lot of people stay away from these types of things because they don't like the guilt that comes with not following through. So let's talk about some things, and you guys chime in the comments. What do you do to make sure you're true to your commitment to yourself? Because I believe if I'm not true to myself, how in the world am I going to be true to my commitments to others? So who wants to start with that one?
So I take the goals that I set, because you're going to set, you have wishes, become dreams, that become you know, your plan of action. You got to translate all those out. And what I do is right now I write down my daily gratitudes and goals, but then when I actually put them on the whiteboard, that's where I'm actually now making out a plan and saying, this is my plan of action. And I may not have everything, all the resources I need at this time, but what I do have is the intent and the understanding of what I need so I can move forward. And then by setting those goals, understanding, making sure that they're smart goals, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. And time-based, I find for me, is the kicker, because I can set a goal, and unless I put a date timestamp on that, you will achieve this by, then I'll just kick the can down the road. So
if you don't accomplish something on a list, do you start a fresh list the next day from scratch, or do you carry over the unfulfilled goals from the day before?
So yeah, I'll move it back over unless
I do that too. I carry them over.
Unless it's I call it frustrated. That's an Army term, you know. It's unless it's I can't accomplish this goal because I'm waiting on something else. I didn't get the UPS package in because of the snowstorm. So it's not that I didn't do it. It's just it's in a special category. I call it frustrated cargo. I can't load it on the aircraft, you know, Army term, Air Force term. But I'll just roll that back over and put it over here until I can get that thing done. So it's okay to do that and just sit there and say, okay, where are my goals too far-fetched? You know, you want to have those stretch goals where they're just out of reach. So you have to work for it, both in work and in life. But sometimes if you're always doing moonshots, you're going to get down on yourself. You're not going to be positive.
Absolutely right. And James, I want you to chime in. I personally too, I found by writing things down that oftentimes, again, I got some right here to show you. Oftentimes what I feel in the moment, in the middle of a busy day, in the middle of trying to do 100 things at once, something will come through. And if I don't write it down, of course, it's going to end up in a junk drawer. So I write it down, fully intending that it's either going to find its way up to the wall of purpose, or I'm going to keep it right here and execute today. But this is what happens too, which is a good marker for me. It's a checks and balance system. This is just since yesterday, Friday. So these are all things that I thought were really important in the moment, but I had to really force myself to stay on task and get to these once I completed the list. Because see, these are here. Here's my list for today, right? There's my list for today. And I'll fill in, I'll put my appointments, and then underneath, I'll put the other stuff. Ask the Experts. That's a show that's coming up, and I need to do some promo stuff. Now, it doesn't get done today. It's not the end of the world, but I want to get started on it. So I draw a line, and that's a literal thing with me now, where I draw the line. That's where I'm going to go first, because these actually, I start seeing them that this isn't that important. And it's not. I just looked at it and I can actually throw it away, which, believe it or not, is just as beneficial to the overall good of what I'm trying to accomplish as one that I finished, because I've taken it off my plate because, it's not so important after all. James, what's some of the things you do to set your intentions on a daily basis?
you both have been hitting, like you're both basically theoretically saying the same thing, right? We all have our ways of doing things. I think it's key for me personally. You got to know yourself first. You got to know how you respond best. For us, it's easy. And the reason why I revert back to what I know and what's familiar. What's familiar to me, what I know is military. So I need the structure. I need the schedules. I need the SOPs. And, we joked around a little bit at the beginning.
SOP?
Standing operating procedures. So you basically have your procedures in place from A to Z and how you're going to take care of something.
Bye, honey. Have a great day.
But, for me, it's just I revert back to that. So what I tell people is whatever's comfortable for you, what you're used to doing. And if you've never done anything in the past, then that's great, because then you can just pick one that fits you now and where you are right now. Because, different stages of life, different things work for me. Like when I was younger, hitting the snooze button would have been okay. Now hitting the snooze button, is not okay. And that's probably, I guess, based on basic training and stuff like that. And, few military schools that I've gone to. So for me, it's like logisticians, logistics world. For logistics, we talk about cradle to grave. You got to take it from cradle to the grave. And what happens is a lot of us, we take it from the cradle and we stop somewhere in the middle and we don't see the execution and completion. So for me, I got to see it completed. So when I have a board, I have a whiteboard as well. I document everything that I need to get accomplished. And then when it's done, it feels great lining through that and say, did that.
Right.
Did that.
I get a huge sense of accomplishment just from drawing that line through. And I mean it. Let me look in here. This is my trash bucket. Yeah. But I really do. This was yesterday. And I do that. You see those lines? Well, it's a highlighter, but I go through. Right.
It feels good.
Right. It feels great. It's awesome. So even little things, even things I don't get to, like I got jobs around the house I never get to on the weekends, but I keep that Post-it note. And if I have it on the counter one week and it didn't happen, I take it from the counter, I put it up on one of the cabinet doors. I make it more prominent because I'm not going to run from it. You see what I'm saying? But I'm going to do what I need to do to keep myself accountable, because that's where I'm very weak in that when it comes to certain things. Now, Marty, I know you have to hit the road. You got that brunch with Oprah, and so I get it.
Hello.
What did you still have to leave, or?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, what would you like to leave everybody with? We hate you have to go, but
for me, it's just don't be afraid of change. If when you look at that person in the mirror, that accountability mirror, I disagree with David Goggins. I
love his book.
But I'm not completely sold on his message. When you look at the accountability mirror and he says, "Hey, you're fat. Just be honest with yourself. You're fat." Well, that's putting negativity in your brain. What I change it to is look in the accountability mirror and say, "You've allowed yourself to get fat." That way, you're in control. You control the situation that got you here. You're in control of the situation to get yourself out of here.
You chose your way in. Now choose your way out.
Don't be afraid of change.
Absolutely. Well, we'll have to get you back when you can stay the whole time, but we get it. I mean, look at him, because he's the whole time he's been okay. That ADH is on that ass.
How many postage notes did he use on that one?
I know. Come on.
Well, we really appreciate you. And James, I'm going to let you, when we come back in just a moment from our commercial break, we're going to let James kick off the second half of the show with what's important on his mind today. You guys get yours ready and put it in. Martinez, have a blessed day. Keep being the blessing that you want to receive in the world. You're doing big things, and we're behind you 100% of the way. Thank you. And we look forward to when you come back again. Right?
Thank you.
James, you got anything you want to say out of the side of your mouth to Marty before you want to get a jab in?
It's always a pleasure whenever we can get together. I know it's virtually right now, but anytime together, we're stronger together than we are as a bunch of individuals. So you have a blessed day.
All right, we're going to go to commercial break with first commercial is from one of Marty's companies, Footies. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hello, hello. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Lauren Michaels Harris, and my remaining guest is James A. Felt, the owner of the company you just saw, J-Dog Hauling and Removal, correct? Did I say it in the right order?
J-Dog Junk Removal Hall in Raleigh.
Okay, Raleigh, right. Raleigh!
Can't forget
Raleigh.
Raleigh, North Kakalaki.
I know, you used to talk about Raleigh all the time on the Andy Griffith Show.
Absolutely.
You want to head into Raleigh? I mean, that was like New York City to them, to Mayberry. So, James, did you come up with something you wanted to get into or during the break?
We were talking about focus and intentions. I was just kind of thinking through my head while we were talking, how do we focus when we're losing control? And that's kind of, the question I have for yourself. How do you do that? For myself, I know the remedies that I do, but it's all about self, look at yourself and, retrospect on that and just figure out how you can solve help yourself. I don't know if you've ever heard of Michael Smalls. He does person-centered thinking. And for a little while, I was I worked for a company called Community Innovation. So I worked in the mental health field as a case manager. And a lot of times, I was helping others write their person-centered thinking plan. And while I was writing their plan, I was actually able to develop my own. And, it's kind of like, when we go through life, we don't walk behind you. Mm-hmm. We don't walk in front of you. We walk with you, next to you. And that's what person-centered thinking is. And I think, we touched about it earlier, talked about the accountability. I think it's so important to have outside yourself somebody that you can rely on, a buddy, someone that can hold you accountable and keep you on task. For myself, I'm blessed. I have, my family, my wife, my father, my mother, my children. They help me out. But, and then now, recircled back in with Marty, last year we touched base again and, the things that, Marty and I are able to do, he can talk to me a certain way and get away with it. So I think it's very important to have that accountability person that you can rely on. Because, when you're going through a struggle, it sometimes takes someone to pull you out other than yourself. You can't do it yourself. So you need someone that's been, where you have been in your life and that can actually pull you out. There's a gentleman by the name of Andy Wines. He talks about it. And I don't know if you've seen The Punisher. It's talked about in there, soldiers in a hole. Mm-hmm. Who better to take the soldier out of the hole than someone that's been in the hole before, so they jump in the hole together and get the individual out together. Cause that's what it's about, and that's, what we're starting out. It's about accountability and holding each other accountable.
Oh, that's a great one. That's a great one. And I just had a vision in my mind of something I remember, and I still adhere to it. It is when you said about being in the hole, and we're talking about and you started by saying it's, it's great to have someone close and someone who sits in the front row seat of your life, or in the front row seats. And that was something that took me a long time to really understand the importance of checking the ticket stubs of those people that I put in that position. Mm-hmm. For instance, a lot of us, you go back to the hole, being in the hole analogy, if we're not careful about the people that we place in close proximity, what we're doing is you can have energy suckers there, energy vampires. You can have a lot of people sitting in the front row seat who are just dead set on taking and never giving, and they will steal from us the joy of helping others, because that person that every time you see them, they come to your house or they call you, their palm is facing the ceiling, and then they don't do anything with it, and then every time afterwards you immediately are regretting the decision, saying, and then when someone comes along, because that person has groomed you by stealing the joy of helping, when someone comes that really could benefit from whatever it is we have to offer, now we don't want to do it. Nope, I'm done. Because every time and what happened, how I broke myself of that? Because I can't live without being of service to others. I just can't do it. But I also was getting shit on a lot, betrayed and used. And then I figured out it was me. Because what I was doing is, and I remember the movie Silence of the Lambs.
Yes.
with Jodie Foster. Remember, she got to the house where the guy was like keeping his victims to fatten up that girl in the hole, and she was down there with the dog.
Right.
And Jodie Foster looked in, and she stayed way back from the hole. And the girl's like, "Help me, help me!" And she, you know, she was like, "I got to go make sure I'm going to stay alive. Then I'll come back and help you." Just like on the airplane, it says when the oxygen mask drops, secure it around your own face before you attempt to assist others.
Right.
So what I was doing, James, is I would feel like, okay, I'm going to help this person, but I wasn't helping them help themselves. I was helping from a place where I knew once this family member was out of my hair, I'm going to get on the phone later that day and call around. Guess who called because their electricity is going to get turned off again? I can't believe I fell for it again. That sort of stuff. And what I was doing, the only issue with me in helping others, it was the motive in which I was helping them. And when I ended up in the hole with them, it was because I bent over. I lowered myself to their level. You know, if you're a person's in a hole and they're desperate and you bend over to help them, you're 75% in the hole.
Right.
Because you're already pointed in that direction. When they pull, because desperate people are going to go, "Oh, thank you for that." They're going to pull your ass. "Oh, let me out. Get me out of here." And now you're both in there. So I learned, okay, stay right there. Because, oh, that's a deep ass hole. So I'll go and get a stick, a skimmer from the pool, whatever it takes, so that I can stand completely ergonomically correct, upright, integrity based. And if you're really trying to get out of here, here's something to reach for. Something to reach for, and I can make sure it's within reach, and then it's up to you, and I can pull you out, and we're both safe. So have you ever been in those situations where you swore up and down, "I ain't never helping another person because this is the last time somebody's going to crap on me"?
Absolutely. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, in business. I know we're not talking about business today, but it's the same.
Everything.
It's the same thing. You know, if you want to help others, you first got to have your business being, you know, has to be successful. If you're trying to help others and your business is floundering, you're basically going to flounder together, you know. And I said this before, and my dad taught me this when I was young, and he said, hey, son, he said, 2 birds of the same feather will fly together. I said, what's that mean? He said, you'll figure it out. And for me, you know, for you know, veterans, for me, if it's a negative mindset, negativity will feed off each other, and veterans are notorious for this. And we'll find ourselves in a situation where we're both actually not doing well because we brought each other down. So, you know, the way I get around it is, you know, the way I work around it, because it happens. It's going to still happen. You know, some people are appeasers, and you're just going to basically, you know, give them until they basically enable them to where they can't do things for themselves. Mm-hmm. So what you got to do is same thing with my children. You know, I tell my daughters, hey, look, this is how you do something. And then I explain to them, you know, conditions and standards, you know, task, condition, standards. That's a military time mindset, right? I say, hey, here's the task, here's the conditions, here's the standards, here's what's going to happen if you don't do it. And sometimes my best lessons were learned when I failed, you know. And my dad said, hey, look, you got to learn on your own to do some of these things. But for me personally, it's kind of like I'm a big Joel Osteen listener. So I listen to Joel.
I love Joel.
And he says it best. You know, he talks about, you know, people that come into your life may not always need to be in your life forever. They might just be coming in for a season.
Mm-hmm.
And if they are not, you know, if they're bringing you down, if they are part of that, the reasons why you're not flourishing as far as, you know, with negativity, and you have a positive mindset, then it might be time to re-look at who you are associating with and who your friends are.
Oh, you know, that is so true. I was in that situation just a couple of weeks back. Where, you know, I'm trying to
what you always tell me. It's about the 4 agreements, you know. I mean, you tell me this all the time.
Yeah.
You know, if you just follow those 4 agreements, I read them every day. So I printed them out because I can't read the whole book every single day.
Right.
But every single day when I start my day, I read this to myself. Because it's part of getting my mind right and ready to face the world.
And and those agreements are covenants. It's a contract. You know, and if your word means anything to you, then this is a great way to really do some good personal inward work is what I love. The four agreements. I couldn't live without them. Absolutely right. But the problem I was dealing with was, I don't have a filter when it comes to integrity based anything. I'm learning, I'm grooming myself how to not emotionally react, but respond emotionally. If I'm gonna, you see what I mean? Which is a big difference because I was in a situation where it's a huge opportunity, but there was conversation going on that I was like, aren't they really saying what I'm thinking they're saying? I didn't know they felt like this or they didn't care about that. And I was faced with an immediate choice of, do I just throw the baby out with the bathwater, put baby in the corner, put baby up for adoption? What am I going to do with this baby?
Right.
And I stepped back. I said what I needed to say, but I stepped back and I ran it past like you said, the people closest to me. My husband, he's a psychotherapist, and he's going to always talk me off a ledge. But he said, you're right, but you should still take time, Lauren, so that when you come back, if you have to say, I'm good, this isn't for me, whatever, that you leave those people or that person or that experience better than the way you found them. And I say that in closing sometimes here on the show, but that's not an easy thing to remind yourself of in the moment. So you're really disciplined with your military background. I have military, but it's decades ago. Yours is a little bit more current. What do you do, James? What do you have in place for when you're in that situation and your mind is telling you, they on some bullshit? You know what I mean? And then how do you draw that integral line in the sand, if you will, in situations in business and personal friendships or whatever? How do you do that without automatically severing the head of the relationship?
Well, it goes back for me personally. It's a struggle. I have to. I mean, because if you drive in traffic, and you have somebody to cut you off, what's the first thought that comes to your mind? I'm sure it's not, "Hey, bless you, bless you."
So I try to get up beside him and stare at him.
Yeah,
and they won't look, and it pisses me off.
Yeah. Well, it happened to me last week. I was actually behind a car on Glenwood Avenue, and the lady's brake lights weren't working.
Oh.
And I said, "Hey, your lights aren't working." Almost rear-ended her twice. And then as she pulled over to the gas station, the BP gas station, I rolled my windows down. And I was like, "Hey, I just want to let you know your windows or your your lights, your brake lights aren't working. You need to get them fixed." She cussed me out from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet, to the left to right, side to side, all what you said. She got me. She got me good. And I was sitting there and for once, I didn't have that emotional outburst. I said, here, and this is what you're asking the question. I took a tactical pause in place. In my mind, I said, and I took a deep breath and I took a tactical pause, and it's important to do that sometimes, just take a deep breath and realize, hey, look, don't make assumptions. Don't take this personally. And those are the, things that went through my head when I was getting yelled at. But I think sometimes you got to take and remove yourself from the situation.
Yeah.
So what I do is when somebody's directly confronted with me in my face at this age, when I was younger, I'll tell you I did something different. Now I take a deep breath and I remove myself from the situation and then think about what I want to say, then come back after I've taken that tactical pause. And then I deal with the situation that way.
Real smart. That's smart. And that's something I believe we all struggle with in the moment. But one of the things that God whispers to me, which has really helped, because not so long ago, I think a little over a year ago, I was still dealing with, my coaching clients, God love them. Because some of them I'd be like, they do something stupid or whatever, or not being accountable. And I'd be, and I am I'm a kinder, gentler version of myself today, simply because God says to me, he goes, "Lauren, what are you doing? Don't you realize, didn't I ask you to remember that when it's the hardest for you, those are the people that need what you have the most.
Right.
That's why they're up close and personal, because there's a sense of urgency behind, you know, and I had to learn to remove the person in front of me and address that entity, if you will, that negativity, because it is a force, it is a frequency, it is a real thing, and address it instead. And I get better results. I get less. If I was a bathtub, I don't have a big dirty ring around it afterwards. You know, when the water of that experience has flowed out, it's crystal clean because I've done my best. The fourth agreement. I've done my best. And when I lose my temper, or I make it about me instead of what is right in front of me as an obvious, a clear issue, then I dirty up my own bathtub. I leave my own ring in there, and it's just not a good feeling. You want to say something?
No, just saying, Lauren, you do a great job at, you know, and I don't know if people tell you this, but you do a great job, because when you're given the opportunity, because it is an opportunity, you know, it's a blessing. God has given you someone that comes in your path, in your you know, path, given the opportunity to teach, coach, mentor them, and do it in a positive way. To me, that's the most important thing. And you have that figured out, because what happens is I can reach out to you, and I know that the advice that Lauren's going to give me is going to be the advice that he would follow himself. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the key, because a lot of times we have some, you know, I hate to say business coaches or accountability coaches, that they don't have the intentions of the person that they're dealing with. Intentions. So it's powerful. You know, you are in a powerful position. So when someone comes to me asking for help, I need to remind myself, hey, this is a blessing. This is an opportunity for you to pass on your blessing to the next person.
That's right.
And you're leaving a great legacy, Lauren. This is, you know, part of your show, 100 things that you're doing I could talk about for the next hour. But I mean, you're doing that great. And you know, that's the thing that matters. You know, when someone's genuine, they're being real, and they're just being honest, you know, and then they have good intentions. Yeah. Is if they don't have good intentions, you're in a vulnerable state. And it's so important. I can't tell you, if you got to latch on and grab a hold of the ones that are actually supporting you, not the ones that are going to bring
Amen. You. And that saying, you know, we've heard that the path to hell is paved with good intentions. And I used to have an issue with that until I realized, you know, it's an IN word. And when you when you execute it without taking the entire family that it belongs to, it's mama, daddy, grandmama, grandpapa, aunties, uncles, cousins, brothers and sisters, and the family pet with you. And who are those family members of true intentions that are heartfelt, unconditional? That's the ones that walk beside, ride in that same family van with insight, intelligence, instinct, intuition, all of the IN words, all the things that are internal. And the only way that we can get outside of the purposeful meaning and job of all of those heartfelt soul words and phrases and meanings is through the abuse of invitation. You know, when something's in your world that shouldn't belong, we in some way or another, even and you know, I know people say, I was a little kid, I didn't invite that to happen to me, but you invite it to come with you 30 years later every day. You invite it to stay in bed with you when you go to bed, and you invite it to come with you when you get out of bed. So, and I was telling somebody the other day how God told me in January, Lauren, you know, you had a 14-year drug addiction, but you do realize, Lauren, you were never really addicted to the drugs, right? And I was like, what you talking about, Willis? And he's like, you weren't. You were addicted to abusing the art of and the birthright of invitation. Because if you had not said, come with me, here, you want to ride with me? Come on in, drugs. You know, I invited it every time it did something within me. It didn't, I wasn't yawning and the crack pipe jumped into my mouth. You know, I invited it. And so the mind is a very powerful weapon. And most of us use it first against ourselves. And so I'm just going to say, you know, intentions, you have to make sure that they're in the van with all of their family. Okay. Don't take intention out by itself. And because the motive could be whispering something in the other ear, and it's not intention you're taking at all. So James, where can people go to find out more about you, to kick it with you? Where's the best place to find you, just to say, hey, I want to be your friend?
Well, for me, you can follow me on LinkedIn, James A. Felts on LinkedIn.
Okay.
You could also go to my Facebook page or Instagram. I'm known as the Spartan 6. That was my call sign when I was commander.
Okay.
And I've kind of adapted that mantra and mindset so I can, relate to others. It was just, I created that from being the commander there. And I had that's another story in itself. But, if you want to link out to me or just message me, direct message me.
Okay, DM. Okay. Awesome. Well, I want to thank you again. It's always a pleasure, a joy. I enjoy you and Marty Martinez so much. I'm very grateful and honored. I feel truly blessed. I'm a truly blessed man by having you both in my life. So thank you for that. And I feel that way about each of you. You guys, listen, get out there today. Won't you start today? Live today. Live in the now. Follow what we were talking about here today, all 4 of the agreements in order. Be impeccable with your word. Don't take things personally. Never make assumptions, and always do your best. So with that, please get out into the world today, whether it's in real life or virtually. Try to be the blessing you'd like to receive, and try to be the gift you'd like to receive. So thank you guys. God bless you. I'll see you back here tomorrow morning, if it's God's will, for yet another installment of Bathrobe Moments. Be blessed and be the blessing. Bye. Thanks, Marty. Thanks, James. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you. Have a great day.